Is it 9 o'clock?
It is. It's 9 a.m.
Amazing. Um, so I think we should get started. Everyone agree?
Yeah.
Am I recording? Great. Hi, everyone. I'm Randy D'Amico, and welcome to the 2024 Summer BrainTerns experience. I'm joined here with Hannah Flam, who is a jack of all trades. I don't know what to call you. I mean, you're the person behind it all, and so we have to give a
Yeah.
big thanks to Hannah for helping set this up, for helping organize. It's a huge organizational conundrum, as you will see as we go through it. And she's done an amazing job setting it up. And then Kristi joining us, and Samantha joining us to help moderate the chat and spend some time with Unexcel Neurosurgery. And that's what you guys are here for too. And so I wanted to take a minute and kind of dive back into what BrainTerns is and what to expect. And we'll talk a little bit about kind of the rules or the expectations and the format for the year. But basically, in the summer of 2020, in July of 2020, there was a pandemic. Some of you might remember this, and it caused basically all in-person shadowing to shut down. And in-person shadowing is such an incredible component of medical training, where someone decides they want to really, pursue a medical education of any sort, and then you go and you see what it's like. And it may start when you're in high school with, being a candy striper in the hospital, if that even exists, or volunteering for your local EMS, or, it may just be you're a caregiver and you want to know what it's like to actually, see organized care delivery. And so, we started this program as a way to kind of get around the fact that no one could be together. And, because of the internet, realistically, we had about 16,000 participants our first year, which is an incredible number. If you think about how many people are in your class at school or whatever. A platform that allows you to speak to 16,000 people from 85 countries our first year becomes really, really important. We realized we were onto something. And so we provided really high quality, or what we thought was high quality, multimedia, medical education. And we had a great time doing it. And I think people had a great time experiencing it. So much so, the second summer, we had another 16,000 people sign up, which is, an amazing number. And 60% of those people were new. So we're talking about a lot of people participating and engaging. And at that point, we had focused a little bit more on neurosurgery, but we kind of remained committed to this because we realized that the future of education is probably not sitting in your school listening to someone lecture at you for an hour, but it's this combination of multimedia, engaging, synchronous, asynchronous, meaning on your own time education, where you can kind of do whatever you want. And it's a super powerful medium, and we are fortunate enough to be one of the forefront of this. We're one of the founders of this kind of idea, pioneering, iterating on what's been done in the past with YouTube and online courses and whatnot. And I think the future of this is going to be this. And so I actually encourage everyone who's listening to not just learn about neurosurgery, because neurosurgery is awesome. We're going to have a great time, but also consider, how education can change and how you can develop systems where you can utilize this type of education and maybe make it yourself. All right. Now, a few things. BrainTerns is online, synchronous, asynchronous, meaning you can watch it now, you can watch it later. It's going to be recorded and stored on our website or on the YouTube page, right, Hannah? I think that's where it goes. Yeah. Or both. It is multimedia, so it's cool to listen. It's cool to watch. It's run pretty much entirely by Zucker School of Medicine and Unexcel Neurosurgery. This is where our cohort of educators is going to come from, which I think is phenomenal, because not only are we diverse, but we're also everyone here is pretty phenomenal, and I've been nothing but impressed. So I think you're going to get an incredible experience, and it's free, which is great. So tell your friends if they haven't signed up. And yeah, and it only lasts about 2 weeks of hopefully fun and not too boring information. So I think we're gonna have a great time. I want to share the schedule. Hannah, do you have it up?
I just posted it in the chat. I can
Okay.
share my screen.
I can share mine too. Here, I'll share.
All right, perfect.
Don't worry about it. And so you're looking here at the schedule for the next 2 weeks. And so we're starting today, obviously, the introduction. Up next, we have this great two med students from the Zucker School of Medicine who give you the opportunity to chat with a med student and figure out, what's important in med school, how do you get into med school, what are things you should be considering. I'll be back at 11 today. We'll go over a subject near and dear to my heart, which is brain tumor surgery. You can see Tuesday, fantastic lectures by clinical research fellows talking about kind of that before med school. How do you get into that med school? What do you want to be doing with your research time? How do you know you like research? How do you know you care? A little bit of experience there. We'll be talking about spine surgery. We'll talk for all the people outside of the US. How do you get to medicine when you're in a place that's not, the US with our USMLE and standardized system, right? And there are a lot of different ways. And I think these two gentlemen have done this absolutely right. And so I think it'll be very, very educational. We have the Zucker School of Medicine talking to us on Wednesday. We're going to talk a little bit about cerebrovascular surgery with Dr. Cerule, as well as Dr. Ben Shalom will be back to talk about neuroplastics, which is a new field. He's actually, we're the second program in the country that runs this. He's the only neurosurgeon trained in this, which is nice. Dr. Bookvar will be here at some point. We'll have PAs involved talking about a different route into neurosurgery and medicine, something that is sometimes more applicable to your own life and possibilities. Dr. Motivala is an expert in neuropathic pain, something we've never addressed here yet on the series. And so this will be a fantastic lecture touching on something that is really, really important. And then Dr. Langer coming in hot with his chairman's corner. No one knows what he'll talk about. But tune in because I'm sure it'll be great. Always inspiring. Next week, similar, we're going to talk a little bit about nursing to round out kind of the curriculum. Again, being a doctor isn't the only way to do this and to take care of people and help people. We'll look at pediatric neurosurgery. We'll talk to people who have gone from BRAINterns previously into medical school and have been innovative and entrepreneurial in their own rights. These two are fantastic. I would definitely tune in for that. It also gives you the opportunity to participate in research down the road if you're so inclined. We'll have a great conversation. This has been a recurring component of BRAINterns, which is the Women in Neurosurgery group, talking about being a woman in neurosurgery. In our first and second iteration of BRAINterns, 80% of our applicants and our registered students were female. That is not reflective of what we see in medical school. In medical school now, it's just got to 50-50. In practice, it's different. So this is a really important lecture for those of you, feeling that calling and wondering if there's something that you should worry about. These are all very successful, very talented neurosurgeons, and I'm excited to have them on board. We'll talk a little bit about research because, again, there's more than one way to skin a cat in neurosurgery. You can get involved in the research end of things and have a great time. We'll learn about disc replacement surgery with Dr. Galad, who's an expert in this. She's done a ton of this, especially during her time in the military. She'll talk about that. We'll talk about neuromonitoring because it's something also near and dear to my heart. We do a lot of cutting edge research on neuromonitoring here, and Dr. Silverstein is the best in the country probably at it. We'll get our residents involved to talk about neurosurgery residents, what you can expect. And then, we'll close off the best summer of your life and start the best summer of your life with our last day. And that day, we're going to release the results of our t-shirt contest, which I think is due Wednesday, right, Hannah?
Yes. So if you would like to, Kristi, do you mind just showing off your t-shirt really quick for our viewers?
Oh, yeah.
Kristi's actually wearing one of the shirts that is currently available on our Bonfire merchandise site. Last summer, we did a t-shirt design contest with our BRAINterns to come up with the official summer 2023 t-shirt for the program. And we thought we'd do it again this year. So if you would like to submit your design for the t-shirt contest, I'm going to post the link to the submission form. You have until Wednesday the 10th to submit, and then we will be actually posting the submissions on our social media and having our followers select their favorite design, and then we will announce the winner on July 19th on the last day of BRAINterns.
This is always so fun. The submissions that come in really run the gamut in terms of creativity. I would encourage you, if you have even an inkling of design, you stand a chance of winning, because we submission wise, we don't get a ton, honestly. People don't dive in, but last year we had a really good assortment. I think the ultimate winner was fantastic. I still wear it. And yeah, so please, please, please send. A few things, because I see people raising their hand a lot. Don't do that. So use the chat feature. When we turn it on, you can chat through that. It will be interactive, okay? Kristi and Samantha, who I'm going to let introduce themselves momentarily, are going to moderate that chat and pull out the best things. But this is also the best time to talk about some of the rules about BrainTerns, right? This is a community, and this is a community that prides itself on being diverse, okay, and equitable, and smart. And so there is zero tolerance for any sort of non-professional, non-tolerant speech. Posting of any sort, you will be, banned immediately from the site, basically, and from joining again. Be respectful. You're talking about joining medicine, and in medicine, we don't draw lines like that. Everyone is worthy of care. Everyone gets care, and everyone deserves your professional face forward. Not to mention, you all want to be medical professionals, so don't burn bridges before you ever start. Keep it positive, keep it inspiring. Kristi and Samantha have they can repudiate with impunity. They can eliminate you very quickly. So tread lightly. Even though this is open and democratic, it's ours, and we have a right to dictate what how we portray it. And what we want to portray is a really nice and loving community that is just here to inspire. So that's the rule. So use the chat feature. I'm not sure it's live right now. Is it, Hannah?
Yes, you should be able to send chat or send your questions via the chat function, or you can use the Q&A during the so this right now we're kind of just going over the rules. It's a little more casual, but our presenters are going through their presentations. I highly recommend using the Q&A function, because we'll be able to track whether or not we are answering your questions live. And we'll also have like a report of your questions in case we weren't able to get to your questions. I see a few in here. Is there a certificate?
So why don't go ahead, Hannah. Sorry.
Oh yeah. So at the end of the program, I actually will be emailing everybody who signed up and registered for the webinar series with a link to generate a certificate, so that you can list this experience on your CV. When you do list it on your CV, I'll include this in my email. Because this is a webinar series, you can list it as a course, not an internship, because you're not here in person at our practice, but you will be able to use that on your CV and to list this as an experience.
Why don't we take a break? I see a lot of questions rolling in, which is great. Why don't we let them accumulate a little bit? Kristi and Samantha, why don't we take a minute and just have you guys introduce yourselves and how you ended up here? Kristi, you're first on my screen, so why don't you go first?
Sounds good. Good morning, BrainTerns. My name is Kristi. I am a junior at the University of Texas at Austin, so hook 'em. So I actually got into all of this stuff because I actually participated in all the BrainTerns programs when they started. It's from the beginning, like even the Thanksgiving one that we did, or was that Christmas? The Thanksgiving one with the cast of Grey's Anatomy. I don't know if the rest of y'all were there for that one, but that was really cool. But yeah, so I am a neuroscience student at UT, and I'm also on the pre-med track. But I am just so excited to be here and be one of y'all's moderators this year.
We're happy to have you. It's amazing. You've got a ton of history on this, so you can actually call us out when we've done something before. And Samantha, you're up.
Hey everyone, I'm Samantha. I'm a rising sophomore at the University of Michigan. Go Blue. Yeah, Hannah went there too. It's a great school, but aside from that, I am a neuroscience major on the pre-med track. I got into neuroscience and everything because I was in a program in high school. I worked with med students at Columbia and grad students at Columbia for a research study, and kind of just fell in love with it. I was looking to shadow someone this summer, but I was a little late to the game, and I reached out to a bunch of people and they were all like, you should do this program. So here I am. I'm so excited to work with everyone and to learn from our speakers, who I know are going to be amazing.
I love it. Thanks so much. Okay, so a few other things. We'll talk some of these questions. So if you win the t-shirt competition, I believe you do get the shirt for free, right, Hannah? I'll buy
Yeah.
it for them? Yeah.
Yes, you get a free
So
t-shirt if you win.
we answered that one live. You do get a certificate if you join asynchronously. The way the certificates are handled is a little bit different, and Hannah can explain it.
Yes, so we understand that not everybody is able to attend the live webinars, whether it be you're in a different time zone or you have prior commitments. So we understand that you might not be able to participate in the series live. As long as you have registered for the program, you are welcome to claim that certificate of completion. And we will again be posting all of the videos on both our, they're automatically going to upload to our BrainTerns website, but also our BrainTerns YouTube channel. So that's where you can watch all the webinars. Again, if you're like, oh, I want to watch this presentation again, or if again, you're not able to join us live, you can watch it on our BrainTerns YouTube channel, which I'll post the link in the chat.
Great. And then is it possible to shadow any of the doctors? I guess so. It depends kind of where you live and what your availability is. We're all just humans here, and we exist in real life. So the same way anyone can shadow anyone anywhere, you can feel more than free to reach out to us as well. We got that one. We talked about the other thing. All right. Why don't we open up the chat for more questions at this point? I'd love to know where people are joining from. If you want to chime in and just say where you're coming from, and otherwise, just make sure we address all the concerns and questions that people have.
Yeah, just a housekeeping thing. I would say if y'all are gonna have comments or just like want to chime in, I would use the actual chat function. But during the presentations with our speakers, if you have questions for our speakers, that's when I would use the actual Q&A function.
Yeah, I'm wondering if the chat's not up and running, because usually, historically, it is lighting up at this point. And so,
Yeah.
Hannah, I'm not sure from a admin side of things, you can open that up.
Let me see.
It might be a different
Chat.
setting. But I'm seeing all sorts of NYC. I'm seeing Australia, Dubai. Can my participation be something I can mention for optometry school? Don't see why not. Chat's disabled. That's what I figured. We'll fix that.
I'll fix that.
Someone asked if they can reach out to speakers for research collaboration. I would say, yeah, feel it out. If someone says, reach out to me if you're interested in research, definitely reach out to them. If someone doesn't really present any research, you can still feel free to reach out. Some people will use it, but not everyone's as active as some of the rest of us are. But I've definitely published multiple papers with people I have met through BrainTerns. And so it's been an amazing source of really, innovative and capable students, which is really the reason this is so important. Because I don't know if you realize it, having access to medical education like this, which normally you would get at a medical school or, at a paid for course, you start to kind of select for people who are really smart and interested by itself. And so all of a sudden you start automatically self-selecting kind of the cream of the crop intellectually. And you get the smartest and the best and the hardest working. And so all of you who are on here, which right now it says of 160 participants, those are motivated people. Those are people that we know have self-selected to be effective and good at this. So I think it's definitely reach out if you're interested. Chat to say it might be the type of setting we're in, Hannah. We see Pittsburgh, we've got Israel, we've got California, North Carolina, Brazil, Canada, Nigeria, Spain, Miami, Dallas, Turkey.
Oh, she got it. It's working.
Yeah, now it's lighting up. All right, we can dive back into chat.
I love that I'm the tech support for this because I'm really not tech savvy, but I figured it out.
We got India, UK, Florida, Philippines, Ethiopian American. Wow. Puerto Rico. This is so fun to see always. It really makes me happy. Egypt, Pakistan, Costa Rica. Did I say that already? I forget. I'm just trying to chip through things. Thank God Kristi and Samantha are here to click through all these things. Haiti, upstate New York, far away. Iceland, wonderful. Oh my goodness. I can't wait to see, so we typically do a survey kind of at the end to assess what's good and what we can do better. And we get these incredible maps of where people are from. And it's always, shocking to me how much reach this has. And it's so cool. And I'm seeing, is everyone here interested in being a physician, or are people just interested in neurosurgery, or are people interested in nursing or PA? What about hospital admin? Medical students? Great. PAs, lots of med students, a few nurses, students interested in science. Excellent. Well, I can't, sorry, I'm reading. I'm getting too behind because I'm reading all the responses. I love when this stuff happens. So, I think I guess a comment on how best to use this, right? I think, joining live is always great. There's a lot of energy in the chat, and what ends up happening is the conversation becomes kind of a driver in terms of having unexpected results. And it's really, really cool. When you're asynchronous, you can still watch it and see how the conversation changed the conversation, if you will. But conversations are important. And when someone shares something that resonates with you, you tend to share back. And, being given that opportunity to participate in that is really important. So we do like and love synchrony, but also if you're in Ethiopia or wherever the farthest place I saw was, we get it. There's a time difference. You don't have to wake up at 2 a.m. to watch us go on and just read the chat back at you. I think follow us on all the socials. I think hopefully everyone is in the Facebook group, right? People know about that.
Yeah, so we'll be posting updates about the webinar in the Facebook group. You can also join our Slack channel. I'll post the link to join that so you can connect with our team.
Excellent. All right. What else should we discuss? Do we have anything else on the itinerary? Otherwise, we'll give people a little break before the med students come on.
No, I think that's it. I just want to thank Dr. D'Amico for creating this webinar series, and for this is our 5th consecutive year, and I just want to thank Dr. D'Amico for making this possible for us to connect with all of you from around the world. It really is our pleasure to work with students. Our practice is very passionate about not only educating the future of healthcare, but we also are really passionate about breaking down barriers to allow people access to neurosurgical education and exposure to neurosurgery. And just want to thank Dr. D'Amico again for all of his efforts in helping us to work towards that and to reaching as many students as possible.
Thank you, Hannah. Yeah, no, it's kind of incredible. It's 5 years, 5 summers, plus a winter session. Met thousands of kids, made tons of friends, and the feedback. I got to tell you guys a story. So I was in Toronto giving a talk on, what was I even talking about? On fluorescence guided surgery at a Canadian neurosurgical, whatever federation thing. And I got in late, and I went to the lobby bar, as one does when they get in late to a hotel that's not yours, that's being paid for by someone else. And I went and I ordered oysters, and I sat down, and the maitre d', this young girl who had sat me, kind of loops back around and comes back around, and she says, "Are you Randy D'Amico from BRAINterns?" And like out of the country, in a small hotel, like somewhere else. And I was like, I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Yeah. I was like, "This is a joke." But no, I was like, "Yeah, I am." And it turned out that she was part of the original series also. She basically used the information as inspiration. It really cemented her desire to want to go to pharmacy school, and she was completing her pharmacist education because it was 5 years later, 4 years later. And so it was so insane to just be, walking. I mean, it's literally eating oysters at a bar by myself at 10 o'clock at night. And this girl is like, "Thank you so much." And so I'm hoping, look, education wise, you're going to learn more and more and more and more stuff. I would use this whole opportunity as an introduction and just say, can I be like that person? Because you're going to meet people who really love what they do. Or, can I dedicate my life to learning the same kind of stuff that they're learning? Or that's just so cool. I need to figure that out. Or I need to see that kind of surgery. Or I need to do that with my own two hands. Take this time to do that. And, don't worry about the certificate. Everyone, you'll see that chat will start lighting up about the certificate at some point. The certificate you're going to get, don't worry about it. That has nothing to do with what's important here. What's important here is enjoying, making this a part of your summer. Enjoying it, figuring things out, and just casually kind of letting it influence you or not, right? Because both of those things are going to give you guys answers. So really, really sincere welcome to everyone. We've got 160 on right now. Our med students will be here at 10 a.m. Hopefully 5 minutes prior. It's going to be a very cool conversation because we're going to open up the chat and you guys are going to get to ask actual med students anything you've ever wanted to know about medical school. And if you want, what do we got? We got 20 minutes till then. I mean, I can sit here for another 10, 15 minutes and you can ask me whatever you want to ask me too. Since I'm not sure we're going to get that opportunity again. So, all right, I'll do that. I'm going to chill here. I'm going to drink my coffee and I'm going to let Kristi and Samantha ask me questions from the group and we'll answer whatever we can as honest as we can.
So we have a question in the chat. How can I effectively establish a professional relationship and mentorship with a neurosurgeon in my field of interest?
That's actually super important. It's a great question. So everyone here can benefit from the answer too. So you got to start with, where do you live? And we've run the gamut here. I mean, I've already said it. I've named 30 different countries already, right? And different countries are going to be set up in a different way for this. And so within the American system, which I can talk to a little bit more, obviously, and I imagine the same way in the foreign situations, it's still a small field, right? You have to imagine there are only 4,000 or 5,000 board certified practicing neurosurgeons in the US. In the world, I don't know what that number is. 4,000 or 5,000, right? Think about that number. There are 8 million people in New York City, right? With the 5 boroughs. 4,000 or 5,000 for the country. So this is a small group of people. And so the connections you make matter. And it's not just the type of connection where it's, "Hey, I sent an email with my CV and no one responded." That's really great. And you have to do that. That's part of the introduction, but you gotta find a way to introduce yourself. And you need to find a way to establish a connection. And typically the way to do that is to do great work. Whether it's something that you could show off beforehand to like pique someone's interest, or whether you get your email through and someone responds, the minute you get that foot in the door, you have to really, really, really exhaust yourself to do it. And that's a little bit unfair because you don't necessarily know how to do what someone asks you to do. You got to learn, right? And so you have to it's this perfect balance of little victories while you're getting from them what you need to learn how to make bigger victories. But all of those victories establish that connection and make it deeper and stronger. And then that helps you and the other person. It's mutual, it's symbiotic in the long run. And so start off by reaching out, talking to the people talking to the people who knows someone. The majority of requests we get for shadowing is, Dave's aunts, brothers, friends, former roommate wants to shadow. And, even though I don't know who that is, but there's a connection there, right? So utilize your connections, cold call people. What's the worst that'll happen? Someone ignores you. I mean, who cares, right? This is your life, not their life, right? They're just NPCs. They're there to teach you something. So, cold call people or reach out. Don't be creepy, be cool. And then get work done. Don't be a stalker either, take hints. And so I do think it's really important though. So it's a great question.
Yeah. One question is, did you take any gap years? Which I thought would be a cool question for you because you have a cool you have a cool story. So
yeah, but it's very atypical. Yes. I think that they're leaning away from gap years, and correct me if I'm wrong. You guys are really in the thick of it, or going to be in the thick of it, and you'll hear from the next med students also. I took gap years. I took gap half decade. I took a lot of time, and what I will say is this: so there's many different ways to get here. There's no path that assures that you're going to get here. There's no path that guarantees you're going to do well here. Everyone figures out their own story. And there's also no rush, right? People may be obsessed with maximizing their earning potential, which just seems like a silly goal when it comes down to like what actually matters in life, right? So people will try to rush through. But I think the only thing that actually matters in terms of like literally everything is experience, right? And so experiencing your life, especially when you're young and able to experience your life, should be, priority number one. Family is priority, I guess, 0.5. I don't know how to get something above 1, but maybe they should share number 1. Either way, it's absolutely critical. So I went to college. Originally, I wanted to be a doctor, and then I decided I didn't want to be a doctor, and I wanted to play and rock and roll dance for the rest of my life. And so I took 4.5 years off after college, and I did that, and I played music, and I ran a little record label, and I promoted shows, and then I got old and realized I couldn't do that really anymore, or I shouldn't do that anymore, or I definitely shouldn't do that forever. And so then I went back. So 4.5 years, not just gap year. I did minimal research. I had a neuroscience degree, so I did work in a lab for a part of that, but minimal research. Actually, very funny story. The people whose lab I worked in at NYU now work for Northwell, and they're big lab PIs over at Feinstein, doing some pretty incredible work. And I got my career started with them in 2003, which is wild to me that here 20 years later, we're still in the same place. But anyway, and then in med school, I actually took a gap year. So when I started going to med school, I took a full research year at that point also. So I did med school in 5 years. So I'm 160 years old. But I think it is important. And I haven't even spoken to you yet about what's the most important part. The most important part is up until this point, you guys are on train tracks, right? Your parents put you on a train, and they said there's a stop at 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade, 8th grade, high school, college. There's tests at these points. Those are your train stops, and that's your station. And that's great when you have no idea who you are and what you want to be. The problem with it is by the time you get into med school doing that, you have no idea who you are or where you want to be, because it's all been laid out and told to you. So having that ability to have freedom to make your own decisions about who you are and what's important to you and what makes you happy and what drives you to do things, that is, I think, super important. It's also critical to learn how to talk to human beings, not in a school setting. Not everyone is a principal or a teacher. They're actually just people who are really successful, who are just humans, just like you. You can talk to them like humans. You can talk to your bosses like humans. You can talk to whoever you want like humans, because they're all just humans. They all have the same exact problems as everyone. And so learning that, seeing people living a little bit of life around people who have different jobs that all contribute something different to the world, I think teaches you a lot about how to interact with the world. And it makes you a lot less of a different type of person than I want to be. So, yeah. All right, next question. Hopefully that helps.
Someone asked what your work-life balance looks like.
It's awesome, but it's different for everyone. Everyone's practice is different, right? I don't work at a trauma center, so I don't get 30 calls about clearing a cervical collar every night. I rarely have to come in the middle of the night for emergencies. It's a pretty boutique practice at this point, which is really, really comfortable and nice. I've got 2 kids. I see them, I put them to bed every single night, pretty much. I would say 5 nights a week out of 7. My hobby is neurosurgery, so it's like cheating. Like, right, like I don't have hobbies because it's work, but like I like work, so it feels great. It doesn't feel like work. But I think people do worry about that a lot, and it's really hard to imagine this at some of your ages. But like this, like the world is so exciting and new and amazing, and I want to do everything vibe. It changes, especially if you like what you're doing. Well, then it's just like, well, I've done all that other stuff already, and I really like what I'm doing now. And there's things that I don't know about this, so I want to focus on this. And so, what becomes a work life thing is going to be different for every single person. And it's neurosurgery training is hard, without a doubt, but it's not impossible. And it's super rewarding. And medical training as a whole is the same. And so, work-life balance is what you make it. And so, you always remember that and be in charge. What else?
Yes. What advice would you give to your younger self or students who want to start pursuing a career in neurosurgery?
Do it. Just do it. I think yeah, that's hard. I mean, I think for younger people, I don't think for myself, because for me it was like, it was a very kind of like step-by-step journey, like with the way it got there. Like I didn't choose this. Like I was never like, what am I gonna do? Like I was like, what am I gonna do? Oh, that didn't work, I'll do this. Or it was never like, I was never pining about that. So I think for other people, I would say that, look, the world doesn't need 10 million neurosurgeons. And so it needs a certain amount. And so if this is something you're really, really passionate about, you need to figure out how to be within that amount. And so, if that's something that you think you can do, if you can push yourself to get to that point somehow, then it's for you. Then I would say do it. You have to be willing to put in the work. So when I was doing it, and the people before me even less so, you didn't have to be that smart necessarily. You just need to work hard. I just said it recently in an interview I gave. The 2 best traits in a neurosurgeon are honesty and hustle. You want to be able to talk honestly to your patients and to your colleagues and to your family and everyone. And you need to be able to work hard. And so if you think you can do that, then do that. I can do that. I'm like a robot. I've been here since 5:05 in the morning. I will work until it's done, and then I will sleep, and then I will do it again, and I will not complain. It'll be great. And so if you think that's you, then go for it. But, again, even though we focus a lot on neurosurgery now, the education here is for all of medicine. And so I think you want to find out if you love it. And that is really the hardest question, is how do you know that you love it? Because you can't experience it, right? And so that's what this is supposed to do for you. It's supposed to kind of give you that vibe as you're listening and paying attention, and be like, I just can't stop listening. I keep paying attention to it. And that's kind of how you know. When I was deciding myself, I tried all the subspecialties. I refused to put my penny down on neurosurgery immediately. I wanted to make sure that I had tried transplant and acute care and cardiothoracic and all these things, because I didn't know how to know that I liked it. But I knew that every time I was with the other ones, I was kind of like, well, I wonder what neurosurgery is doing. And so that was kind of helped validate. So I think, explore your options. Don't make rash decisions. Definitely don't do it because someone told you to. And don't do it for money. You can do it for fame, I guess. John and Dave got pretty famous. But anyway, all right, what's next?
So we have a question from someone who's interested in nursing, and she
Okay.
asks if you'd be able to describe a nurse's role in neurosurgery practice, floor, etc., and also the dynamic between you and your nurse practitioner.
My nurse practitioner is the single most important human being in my life. She is incredibly caring, incredibly capable, incredibly organized. Um, and she is absolutely, necessary. She is the initial and final and intermediate conversation with all of my patients. Um, she is the provider. I'm a technician. I use my hands to make people better, or try to make people better sometimes. And then she is the one who takes care of these human beings without a doubt. Um, and so, yeah, the activity of nurses depends on where you are. We happen to use nurse practitioners as advanced care providers, so they see patients on their own here. They help us with writing orders and documentation, and they keep close tabs on these people and follow them. We have nurse navigators who help get people through kind of complex situations sometimes, and so they're completely invaluable. What I will tell you though is you just got to sign in for the nurses discussion. That's where you're going to get firsthand nursing perspective on what they do for our program, how they interact with us, what their day-to-day is like. It's going to be interactive just like this, where you can ask questions. So definitely come into that. And I'll tell you what day it is. It was just up on my screen. The nurses are Tuesday, July 16th at 9 in the morning. And we'll have all of our nurses, and they're all wonderful. What else? Is this helpful? Are you guys enjoying this? This is a real candid Take 5 with D'Amico. And I haven't cursed yet. I don't think I've cursed yet.
Nope, so far no.
Not yet.
Yeah. I just saw a question. How often do you see politics in medicine, and how have you personally seen it affect a patient's life? I'm guessing about like in admin and insurance type of stuff is what they're asking.
Yeah, never. So this is important. We live in a world where people, well, we don't live in a world. How about this? We exist within a species that likes to be tribal. We like to identify as something or another. And we get insulted if someone challenges that, if it says we're part of something that we don't want to be a part of, or if it says that we're not part of something that we want to be a part of, we get insulted by it, right? And this is actually, there's a book called Super Communicators that I'm reading somewhere. It's not here. Someone asked about books too. But they talk about this. And so that affects us, but it doesn't affect the medicine. And we had, issues of, in the past, people posting things of, conflicts and troubled places, and we had to stop it, because what we don't ever want is someone to think that we won't provide care to someone who's sick because of anything associated with anything other than how sick they are. And so that is a really important part. When it comes to things like local politics, like insurance, right? In the US, we have insurance companies. This is an issue. Our institution doesn't take every insurance. Some insurances are better than others. Sometimes you can't get people the care they need after because the insurance is no good. It is never once to stop someone's care. We have workarounds for it. We know doctors and other institutions. We can make sure that you're going to get the care that you need without a doubt. Local politics are interesting though, right? Because politics means a lot of things. It's a vague question, I guess. I've got senior partners and I've got junior partners. And we all want to be busy and the best doctors. And we've got partners we've got a 23 hospital system. So there's internally other people who do exactly what we do. And so, different institutions, wherever you guys are in school, what you're going to see are going to be different the way they handle that. And there's going to be jealousies, and there's going to be infighting and competition internally. Dave Langer's done a pretty remarkable job of cultivating an area where we don't need to worry about that. And so, we come at this as one team, and that permeates every part of this department, I think. And so that's how you address that. But the whole idea is, here, I'll curse. Who the fuck am I to tell you you can or can't get anything that you deserve? So just take care of people. What else?
We've had several questions of people asking the cost of medical school and what the finances look like to become a doctor.
Ooh, that's for the next group. I have no idea.
Yeah, I
When I
had a
went to med,
feeling, but I
yeah,
figured
I'm
we'd try.
old. Don't forget. Look at this hairline. I'm an old man. Money doesn't even mean the same thing anymore. It's probably all cryptocurrencies.
So then another question for you, someone asked, is what is the best part of being a neurosurgeon and what is the most challenging surgery that you did?
People kind of love that question. The best part about being a neurosurgeon is being a neurosurgeon, right? I mean, it's cool. I do some insane stuff on a day-to-day basis. Technically challenging surgery, every surgery is technically challenging. I mean, you want someone to wake up and get off the table. And there are some that are easier than other ones, but they all require you to be focused and it's exhausting. People don't realize it. Like if I did like last week, I think I did like a 4.5 hour, skull-based brain tumor, which is not even the longest. Some of those things take a really long time. It moved pretty quick, but it's 4.5 hours of like laser focus. Like I hear everything in the room. I hear everyone talk. I am on. And actually someone commented that to me. They told me, they were like, it's fun to see you when you're so on, because you're just on. I can hear the heart rate. I can hear the breathing on the anesthesia machine. I can hear every conversation that's happening with me. I'm watching the brain surgery with the residents helping me, and I'm watching what's happening, and I'm anticipating 3 moves ahead and thinking about what I did 3 moves before. It's like chess, and that's not even a super complicated one, right? But it's still, you're just going, and you're zoned in, and it's my Zen garden, but it's also like my meditation, but it's also like the hardest thing I ever do ever, all at the same time. So it's a lot. But I think that, personally, the harder things aren't necessarily the surgery. It's, it's complications. It's when something doesn't go right. That's where it becomes really hard, because probably of how much you put into it. So I think that's kind of nothing's going to be technically that challenging. We trained for a really long time to do this. Don't forget, it's 7 years plus or minus fellowship. Do a lot of surgery in that time period. So we're trained to do stuff. But it's sometimes when things don't go the right way or stuff you don't anticipate, that's where I think it gets challenging.
Yeah. Another person said, as a first-year university student with strong ambitions and aspirations for being in surgery, how do you avoid feeling behind / not good enough and dealing with imposter syndrome?
Imposter syndrome is unavoidable. I think everyone kind of feels it and gets it. I think one thing to do is, before you start, and again, this might be in another book I was just reading. I don't remember what it was. Take a second and write down, categorize yourself a little bit. So it's like, for me, like start broad. I'm man, ? I am man. I don't know. Neurosurgeon. I am doctor. I am dad, and then go deeper into that and think about what you contribute to different things. And so, I am woman, I am IMG, I am medical student, right? I'm a daughter, I've done this, and start to go through what you've accomplished. And I find that helps you understand that you deserve where you are. To really start writing down all those different components of what makes you you. And the hardest part I think about today is what you see online. Like, someone gave a TED talk. Okay, they knew someone who worked at TED Talks, and they did some cool stuff, and they got asked to do it, right? There's all these different ways that people get visibility. Visibility doesn't mean someone's better than you. It just means they're more visible than you are. And it doesn't mean that you don't deserve to be where you are. And so take that second and look back at what you've accomplished. And I think just be honest with yourself about what it's going to take to get you better. And then be honest with the people around you, and say, I don't know the answer to that. But I'll figure it out. And I think that's the only way to avoid that. It's definitely, I still get it. When I get invited, I'm get invited to conferences and things like this all the time to give talks on stuff. And I'm surprised, nonstop that, that people, look for my opinion on these things. Like, I'm just sitting here in a white square on 77th Street. Like, who the fuck am I? But y'all are here, 160 of you. Well, 157 now. I lost 3. And before that more. So just I think going over who you are and what your contributions are.
So people are also asking Dr. Jamiko for your email to reach out to you. Should we put that in the chat for them?
We can. I'm going
Sound
to
very
regret. I'm going to regret this. No, it's fine. I would say, don't, I get a lot of emails. If I'm in a 4.5 hour surgery, I routinely come out to about 95 different new emails. So please reach out if you think you can contribute something. Don't reach out just to say hi. I get it. Hi, nice to meet you. And please don't be offended if you don't hear back from me. Because it's hard sometimes, but I do read it all, so send it and I'll go through. And it's in there. I dropped it myself, but you guys can share it also. All right, it's 9:51. I see Jared has joined us. Hey Jared, how you doing?
How's it going, Dr. Jamiko? Nice to see you.
Good to see you, man. Thank you so much for doing this.
Of course. I think Brianna's about to hop on as well.
Yeah, take your time. We're going to kick off at 10 a.m. sharp. What we're going to say here is I'll continue to answer questions during some of my other lectures probably. Take a 5-minute, I guess an 8-minute bathroom break. Come back in. I'll help introduce Jared and Brianna at the 10 o'clock mark. And hopefully this conversation part was good. Thank you guys for asking questions and all really fantastic questions. And stay tuned and we'll keep addressing. So, all right, I'll be back.